full steam ahead, driving direct bookings with your internet booking engine. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, and Natasha Leck here will be hosting the webinar. And in this session, we will cover onboarding of new properties, setup in the PMS, adding room images and rates, the difference between promotion and access codes, seamless group bookings with the IBE, non-guaranteed booking options, using the IBE confirmation email using the IBE confirmation email versus the PMS email, translations and languages for the website, as well as modifying language tags. And now I am going to pass it over to Natasha.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin. Let me share my screen. And we can get started. All right, so today the topic is going to be about the Stay in Touch IBE. And what I wanted to start with was just to have a look at the IBE in general, so how it works, the functionalities, some of the newer topics that we have in regards to the IBE, and how the process works. So what I'll do is I just wanted to share with you that on our help desk, it is possible to find most of the information that we'll talk about today as well in our knowledge base. And on there will be a separate part over here with the internet booking engine that will have all of the links in here. And this will also have the IBE overview that I was wanting to look at now. So it explains what the IBE is, some of the supported functionalities, and then the onboarding process as well. So if you sign up for the Stay in Touch IBE, you will be introduced to me probably. And then from there, I will ask you for some information that is required for us to create the URL, such as terms and conditions, a banner image, your own website, so that we can make sure that the colors match a little bit. And you can do some updates yourself in the PMS, and I tell you about that. From there, once the information is provided, we will then, on our side, create the URL for you. And I will then forward that to you so that that can be put on your website. So let's have a look at the IBE itself. So this is our landing page, what we call the landing page, and this is one of our demo properties. So in here, we can see the banner image in the background, we can see a logo, and if you want to have this updated and you are already live, we would recommend to reach out to support, and they will be able to update this for you. All right, and that is the same with the terms and conditions as well. We have our calendar here. And let's have a look at a simple booking first before we have a look at all the other options that are possible. So if we are just creating an individual booking, the customer can select the dates they want to book for. The adults and kids can be filled in here. And then we have these options here, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then when we click on book, we will get taken to the search result page. Now, if on your website you have all the parameters set up, it can happen that it goes straight into these search results. There are also some properties that just have a book now button on their website that links to the normal URL here. That will then take them to the landing page and the customer can then select from there. For our search results, we can see the room images here, and we can see the rate plans. And the way that those become available is by adding them in the PMS. So let me just log in. In the PMS, when we go to our settings, under rooms and then room types, we want to make sure that all the information here is filled in, right? Because that is the information that you can then see on the IBE. So we see the description here, and we can see an image. And we can add multiple images. So once one image is uploaded here, we can click on add image, add an additional one, because that will make it so that when people are on the IBE, they can have multiple pictures of the room to have a look at to see what it is that they are booking. Now, of course, there are recommendations for the images for the room types. I think they are also listed on the help desk. But we can always send that over to you and make sure that we mention it as well in the wrap to make sure that you get the best quality for your images. And then here we can see the rates, and the way that these rates will show here is also again from the PMS. So in the PMS under our rates and then channel manager, we can find the IBE. This will be enabled. And here we can then add the rates that we want to have on the IBE. If we don't add them here, we're not going to be able to see them. Now, as we can see, there is quite a few rates in here, but not all of them are showing, right? So what we want to make sure for a rate to be able to show is that in the PMS, it has the rate type public. So when I go into my rates and rate types, we want to make sure that we use the public classification. That is the way that the rate will then show up. Now, over here, we can see the rate details, and this all pulls again from the PMS, right? So all this information, your deposit and cancellation policies, this is all coming directly from the PMS. And we can also see some additional information in here about the rate. And most of these fields that we see are also language tags. So if, for example, in your property or in your country, it needs to be listed that there's a destination fee included in the rate, then we can make sure that that gets adjusted. Now I can click on book now, and then I would be able to have a look here. As a customer, I can see my taxes, and then I can click on checkout. We can also still review the policies here during this booking process. When I click on checkout, as a customer, I will then be requested to either log in, or I can continue without a login as well. Fill in my information so that this goes onto the PMS. I have traveler info, and then here I can also add a special note. So arriving late, for example. If there's another person that would be part of my reservation, I can add that name already if I wanted to. And then the next step is to agree to the terms and conditions, and the customer can click on this to review them. And then I can proceed to the payment. Now, the payment will be taken in the PMS. So what the customer will do here is provide their credit card details, and then depending on the deposit policies that you set up in the PMS, we will charge the card accordingly. We also have an option here for non-guaranteed booking, which will mean that someone can make a reservation without providing their credit card. This option is especially nice, I think, in Europe, probably. This is a feature that needs to be enabled. So the non-guaranteed booking option is not standard enabled for everyone. When I click on proceed to payment, I will get taken to the payment gateway, which is now not working. That's okay. Then we will do the other option. But basically what would normally happen is when the customer clicks on proceed to payment, they will get taken to a page to fill in the credit card details. And then the moment they fill that in, they have completed the booking. Now, when I click on non-guaranteed booking, we can straight away see this option as well. So this is great. And all this text can be adjusted. So depending on your property, we might want to adjust the text here to not say that it's held until 6 p.m., but something else. And we can agree. Now my reservation is created. So we can see the information about the reservation here. And then if I go to the property, we can also see that this reservation is now going to be in the PMS. There we go. All right. So this is a normal process. It is also possible in the PMS to set up promo codes. Promo codes will apply on the rates that you already have. So the rates that we are showing here. So let's have a look. So you can give an offer on, for example, your bar or on the cozy breakfast dinner package or the bar with breakfast, right? These are public rates that we would then be giving a discount for. So in our rates and then promotions, I can create a promotion here. And this is something that we're already used to from the PMS. And then the name will also be what is used as the promo code. I can fill in a from and due date, the discount that I want to give, and this can be in percentage or amount. So let's say I want to give 10% discount, and then you decide on which rates you are offering the discount on. Let me save that. So now if you would provide someone with this promotion, or maybe you have it on your website so that a customer can fill that in, um, you can either have it as a parameter already on your website so that it defaults straight away to the search result page, or we can add the promo code. I can do that here on the left-hand side, or I can also do it in my calendar pop-up. So it depends a little bit on where the customer is in the process. So when I fill out my promo code, you will see what the original price was, and then you will see that it is strike through. So this is just a promotion on your normal rates. And the reason that I mentioned this is because there's a difference in between a promo code and what we call an access code. An access code can be used for example, contracted rates or as a way to hide rates, right? So if there's a rate that maybe you have specifically for a company, you'd be able to give them an access code, and that would then give them their specific rate that is not, for example, your bar. So how does that work? Let's have a look. When we go into the menu under revenue management and company and TA cards, we can find our cards here. Now, we can also add a new one. Save that. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we add a contract. And that contract is what is going to give us the access code. So I'm going to click on create a new contract, and then I'm going to fill in the name here. So this is for hotel automation with a access code. And then the from and end date. And once I've saved that contract, I can then give the rate that we have for this specific person. Let's see if we have anything that we can use. Let's see, we want it to be a corporate rate. So I will use, let's see, perfect. Now, this rate does need to be added as well to be able to see it, right? We've learned that. So under rates, general manager, and IBE, we can then add our corporate rate here. Now, the reason that I say corporate is because it is marked as corporate, we will not be able to see the rate on the booking engine. So if, let me just remove promo code. We know now that this rate is added here, but if I would search for it like this, I'm not going to be able to find it. The only way that I'm going to be able to find it is by using my access code. So we see here it's not listed, but when I fill out my access code, and I call it together, October 25. And don't have any rooms. Let me have a look.
And while Natasha's looking for that, I'm gonna launch a quick poll. I'll give everyone 30 seconds to answer that. Does your property already use Stay in Touch IBE?
Let's see.
Okay, so it looks like about 20% of you are using Stay in Touch IBE.
Nice. That's good to hear. All right. Let's try that again with a different rate. Let's see. Perfect. That's what I wanted to get. So now we can see that we have our corporate rate with our access code, and this is then specifically for that company or travel agent. It works for both companies' NTA cards. It's really just the access code that you need for that. And then the booking process is the same from there. So there's a difference in between promo codes and access codes. The promo codes are on public rates that you want to give a discount on that you are already selling, whereas an access code is really a specific rate that you don't want everyone to be able to book, and this is a corporate rate in the PMS. Alrighty. Then we also have group bookings. And the great things about Stay in Touch IBE is that groups really work seamlessly together with the IBE. All right, so I have created a group already in Stay in Touch. We know how to create our groups. Let's see. So I have added a group code that I can then use. And of course, I need to have my room block. So if someone would want to book on the website, you would be able to provide the code. And what you could even do is you could even provide the URL already if you fill it in yourself. And basically what they can do is they can select the dates, they can put in the group code, and then they can book from here. And they will be able to see exactly the rate, the information, and they can book from there. Obviously, I only have one room in my block now, but that would come in then into the PMS with this information. What I would also like to add is that we've been working on some changes in terms of the display of our add-ons. So what we can see here is that add-ons are going to show like this, and they're going to be able to have an image. Now those images will need to be uploaded in the PMS. Probably when we go to rates and add-ons, find your add-on. I'm just going to use this one as an example. And then this is where the image needs to go. Now, we do again have a sizing that we would recommend for images to look great on the IBE, and that is 300 times 300 px. This is coming soon, but it would be good to already start adding your room images. And we will also include that in the follow-up so that you have a list of the image size recommendations that we give. All right. So we have our promo codes, we have our um, group codes, and then we have our access codes. Um,
And actually, while we're on groups, I'm
yeah.
going to put up another poll. Uh, does your current IBE allow for group bookings?
Quite a few IBEs without a group functionality.
Yeah.
Thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really something nice about the Stay in Touch IBE, I have to say. And because you're going to set it up in the PMS anyways to have that work together so seamlessly, um, is fantastic. What I do again want to mention is if you are going to have specific group rates, make sure that you add the group rate to the channel manager. Otherwise, the rate's not going to show here, of course. Alrighty. Um, for our add-ons, I talked about the images. The idea is that in the future, we are going to be able to also add separate add-ons as a functionality when customers are booking on the website. I don't have a timeline on this, but that is something that is going to come. So keep an eye out for our updates on that. Then the last two things that I want to mention are going to be in terms of translation and wording. So I'm just gonna make my Zoom a little bit smaller. So if you want to have the website in a different language, and that is possible, we can enable the language on our side, and then either for some languages we already have some translations, for others you might need to enter the translation yourself. This really depends on the language probably. And then I would show you the way that our site builder works so that you can practice with that. Basically, if I switch it to French, you'll be able to see how this will look, and you can see if anything is translated in the PMS. The translations will show up here as well. So in the PMS, what you need to have is you need to have your languages enabled, right? Have your additional languages, and then in your rooms and in your rates, and probably then also your add-ons in the future, you want to make sure that you set up the information in the different language so that that can then be used on the IBE. Then, as I mentioned already before, some of these are what we call language tags, so those can be adjusted. It's not something that we do because the IBE doesn't offer a lot of customization. But you know, if you have something that you need to have changed, especially legally, for example, if it needs to include that destination fee, then we can add that here as well. Alrighty.
Right. And before we move on to questions, I'm going to launch one more poll. And that is, would you like to start using Stay in Touch IBE? Looks like we have a pretty good amount of people who are interested.
Nice. Well, as I said, depending on where you are at the moment with your property, You can reach out to support or sales, or you can even send me an email because most of you I probably have talked to already. And we can have a look at the process and what it is that you're looking for. Just keep in mind that it's a URL for on your website, and it has, as I mentioned, some great features, absolutely, especially with the add-ons and the groups. Um, so it really depends on what you're looking for in an IBE, but happy to answer questions and help you along the way.
Sure. And we do have actually one question. Why does it not always bring up my contracted rates with some companies when booking them?
Oh, why does it not always bring up my company rates when booking them? It could be that you forgot to add the rate in the channel manager, right? This is a step I often forget. If you don't add the rate here, it's not going to show up. Some people have also in their setup when they originally created their rates, have the PMS only toggle channeled on. Sorry, PMS only toggle on here, which makes that we cannot show it on the IBE. So I'd recommend checking that as well. Basically, you can always just make sure that these are toggled off. And if those two, um, if you've checked those two and it's still happening, then it has something to do with your rate, probably. So the way that it has been linked to your company card. As you could see, I also had a problem there. So you want to make sure that you have that start and end date in there, and that the dates that you're looking for are then also correct, and that the contract is linked here. And then, like what I had was that the rate wasn't actually set up, right? So when I looked at the rate manager, let me do it this way. You could see that I was using one that didn't actually have a rate set up for the date range that I was looking for. So obviously that's not going to show up then when I try to find my contracted rate. So those would be the steps that I would check first. If it's still happening, feel free to open a ticket with support or send me a message and I can have a look to see what is exactly going on.
Awesome, thank you. And I'll give everyone a couple more seconds to enter any questions. Okay, another question is, how do add-ons work with the IBE?
Good question. So at the moment, we only support inclusive add-ons. So add-ons that are part of a rate already. So for that, we would go into our settings, rates and rates. And you would be creating packages basically where here under add-ons, you can add the ones that you want to add to the rate. So from there, what you can then see is that you'll have, for example, a cozy breakfast and dinner package. And when the customer would click on book, they can see what it is that is included. Or, well, they can see that before already, of course. So we can see the add-on here, that this is included, and then we can see the image, like I mentioned, that this is coming. Um, that is the way that our add-ons are working now. And then in the future, hopefully we'll also be able to have those separate add-ons, but that is not there at the moment.
Okay, and Caitlin asked, will the recorded video be available after the demo is finished? Yes, it will be available on the knowledge base in the office hours section. So that'll be about available in about an hour or two.
And I would like to add as well is that everything that we've covered today, we've also created articles for that. So all the supported features, how to set up the URL on your website, um, how to set up a group booking, and how to create the URL that you can then send to your customers to use. For example, I think that's here at the bottom somewhere. Um, here we go. Like all of this information is also here. Just wanted to mention that too.
Awesome. And our next question is, how do I make adjustments if I am already live with my IBE?
Yeah. So if you want to make adjustments, I suggest reaching out to support as they are 24/7. They will be able to assist. Adjustments can be your banner image, right? So let me go here. So this background image here, that can be adjusted, same as for the logo, your terms and conditions. Everything in terms of rooms and rates is in the PMS, so that will have to be adjusted there. You can do that yourself. And if you want to work with languages or have any additional features enabled, reach out to support, and they will probably reach out to me, and we can take it from there. That does remind me actually that I forgot to mention that we, of course, send out a confirmation email when someone has created a reservation. And I think I probably have one example here. So this is the one that we just created. So this is the email of, well, the formatting is not very nice on this demo website. I apologize. This is the formatting of the email. And then if you want to use the stay in touch confirmation email, so the one that you set up in your settings in stationery, that is possible. And that is a toggle that we need to toggle on our side. So if that is something that you'd like to do, just reach out to support and we're happy to switch that for you.
Great. Thank you so much, Natasha. And with that, I will share my screen again.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. All right, so a recording of this webinar will be shared via email for all of you who have registered after this, and the recording will also be published on the knowledge base for everyone to review. And look out for next month's office hours. Thank you so much.